Hi everybody, it's McDonald here. Welcome to this week's currency market update. Well, it's taken a while, and considering I started talking about it months back, how price should be drawn down to the 76 level, but finally we've got down there. And last week and the week before I talked about my profit targets. I was looking to get down to around about 76.11, and we've now done that comfortably and closing the week last week around just below that 76 level. So it's looking good in that respect. It's come down, it's tested that level. We're still in a downtrend here, and now of course, now that we've got down and we're testing that big number, the question becomes, do we break down through here or do we bounce off it? So let's start from the monthly chart. We'll work our way back. So the monthly chart is really at this clearly defined support level, and now I start to look at, okay, one, what is the trend? And we've certainly got a lower high. If we, in fact, we've ever so slightly broken this old low, so it's certainly a downtrend. There's more momentum to the downside than anything else. We've been making lower highs here for quite a long time. If we come in and we just look here at this high being lower than the previous, then this low being lower again, this high being lower again, this high being lower than that one, this high being lower than that one, and this one being lower than that, we have more selling than buying on the dollar index, while at the same time we're making equal lows. This is usually a sign of a continuation to the downside. It's more selling than buying. However, at the same time, right now at this moment in time, it's hard to take a bearish view until we break that level, because we're at major support, and technicals are all about probabilities. We're at major support, which, if it's about probability, therefore we need to say should hold until broken. Once broken, price is likely to continue through it, but until then we should expect it to hold. So I need to make a decision though as to whether it's more likely to bounce off or more likely to break through. Come and have a look at the weekly chart here. And the weekly chart very clearly testing that level really nicely. See that we've had a few breaks down through it before, especially back here in 2008. So it doesn't matter if we get a little break lower. The real thing is, do we continue lower as compared to just have a little play around that level. One thing you'll notice though, look here at the weekly chart. We've moved a long way without really pulling back. We've had one little pullback and we've moved down for about the last 6 weeks. We're due a pullback into the averages again. If we have a look at the monthly chart, same thing. We've had 4 months down. We're due a pullback to the averages. The daily chart, same thing. We've had one pullback back here, but now we're overextended from the averages. We've had 2 days of big selling, fallen a long way, overextended, and even if we come down to an 8-hour chart here, we're due a bit of a pullback. So I'd expect a little bit of a rally early in the week, and that would be one of my early plays, is just a little bit of a bounce back up towards the averages. However, in the longer term, it's a little bit neutral. And how do I make that view? Well, one, we've got the downtrend on the monthly, like we discussed, but two, we're overextended, so that kind of balances it out. Equally, this level looks like it should be broken to the downside with the downward momentum, but we're at major support and it hasn't broken yet. So again, we're getting that balanced out a little bit. Let's have a look at a couple of the majors that make up the dollar index, a couple of the major spot currencies. And the euro looks really strong to the upside, therefore looking like a weak dollar. And I really like it that we've put in a higher low here on the euro dollar. And if we can just break up through this high, which is very close, euro dollar will have changed its downtrend and changed its major downtrend, i.e. its monthly downtrend, which has been in here since 2008. This is the exact point. No hindsight trading here. This is the exact point. In fact, the high there being 142.81. If euro dollar hits 142.82, then it will be considered an uptrend. It will now be uptrending. It will no longer be in a downtrend. That is bearish for the US dollar. Coming and having looking at dollar yen. Now this is a different one because we've had such a big sell-off here, all based on what's the situation in Japan. We had a big sell-off and then obviously a huge rally here as well. This, however, is the point where I'm now bearish again because we got really overextended. We came back in. There was some intervention in the markets, or at least news of it, and intervention pending. We've come up here. We've pulled back into the moving averages. We've pulled back into these major old lows around about 8,100. We're rejecting those levels, and this looks really bearish. So we've got the US dollar looking bearish against the yen. We've got the US dollar looking bearish against the euro. And these are the two major places where I'd be checking. Using these are two major weightings in the dollar index. So now let's come back to the dollar index and see how this helps us with our situation for how to assess what this is likely to do. Based on both of those looking with the US dollar looking weak, and based on the fact that there is so much saying that this also should be going down, I'm now swaying towards the downside. Like I said though, one of my early plays for the week will be a pullback to the averages, probably just based on 8-hour and daily charts. I'm looking for a bit of a pullback, a bit of a bounce off this level. That should be quite a nice trading opportunity actually, just for that little bounce up. But then in the longer term, I'm looking for a breakdown. This could take weeks, it could even take months for it to to really break down through that support. Equally, it could break down there this week, but I'll be watching clearly for that breakdown. And what I'll be looking for is an opportunity to enter, an opportunity to make, to be in that trade on the downside. But the major spot currencies, euro dollar and dollar yen, are both telling me this is looking like going downward, as is the monthly chart momentum, as there are a number of factors. So I'll be just looking for that short-term bounce before, at the moment, looking for a longer-term trade down. On the other hand, what could happen here differently? If this monthly candle, which we've still got a number of time left, if this monthly candle closes bullish, i.e. we get a bounce this month for sometime in the next 10 days, and we close bullish, if it was a small green bullish candle, somewhat like these candles that have formed back here in the past, I mean a small bullish candle, like a candle like that, if that happened and then we get a break up through the high of that candle, I'll be switching back to bullish. So it'll be at least probably into into April. So the March candle has to finish. It will be into April before I really make any major decision as to whether or not we might consider buying this. But at the moment, until we see a bounce, the probability, the expectation is for a move lower, continuation to the downside, and that is the trade I will be looking to join in. Happy trading all, have a great week, speak to you next week.